Okay, so a very different end to the day today. The power went out at 4:30. It is currently nearly 8:30. So the power went out at 4:30. We had an hour left in the day. There was a moment where I need to unlock this door. There was a moment where I was going to send people home, but then also, mainly because the editors couldn't edit without computers. But then it also became apparent that Tabletop Time and myself were still we needed to finish the thing we were doing so that we could keep going tomorrow. We could do it with batteries or whatever, but we couldn't film in the same way. So editors jumped onto cameras, and for the last hour of the day, we sort of wrapped up what we needed to. So the case in point, I had to finish this sculpture that I'm working on. I don't want to spoil it too much for you, because this is a part A and B mix that cures within a couple of hours. It's already sort of quite cured now, and I needed to get it to a certain stage so it wouldn't have wasted the hours I spent working on this so far. So I had to work with, we plugged into the battery. I had a camera person for an hour. I just got it to the stage where I could leave it to cure, come back on it tomorrow. So it won't have been wasted time. So I've had to come back now because the power's back on. It only just came back on. So I needed to come back to switch everything off, because that obviously couldn't happen when the power was out. So that was what happened today, and it was a really interesting scenario. So I thought, since I've come back here to go through the building and shut everything off, I might as well take you with me and have a quick chat. The other thing that's happened since, that's the other, so we have air cons, of course, all this stuff was on air lights, all this stuff, So I need to run through the building and just put everything off. Unfortunately, we were going to have Tabletop Time roleplay tonight. We've had to cancel that. We didn't know when the power would come on, and technically we could have, in theory, it's pitch black. We could have, in theory, still done it, but we wouldn't have known. And it's, Elle who travels a couple of hours to get here. And it's not fair on her to sort of keep her in limbo. And at the end of the day, because of the chaos of the whole thing, it's wiser to just call it anyway. Where are the switches on these? There it is. So the other thing that's happened between the power going out and then everyone heading home, and now me coming back here to shut it all down, is I actually had my executive meeting, my executive coaching session. So my wife and I, who run the business, once a month we meet with this amazing exec coach. She's based in the UK. She's absolutely brilliant, and it was a really helpful one. In particular, because today and lately, it's interesting how I've not been feeling, like I'm firing on all cylinders, and it's a bit disappointing. So weird, just random things turned on or off. Train of thought, where was I? It's a weird thing because how eerie is this with the blue light? Because at the start of the year, I was really motivated by how motivated I was. I was really motivated and optimistic about how invested emotionally I felt in the videos I was recording, and I felt like, okay, this really bodes well for this year. I wanted to sort of keep up this trend, doing the one video a week and starting this vlog again. It was all around that same period of feeling really motivated. I don't know where the switch is for this one. Just have to turn it off at the plug. Oop. There you go. I'll just wrap up in my office. I'll turn one light on briefly. Yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to get to with that is I was sort of fueled by that energy for the first few weeks. And then I think inevitably, as you hit bumps in the road, you need to find different sources of motivation, or you need to sort of figure out what is, the fuel. And I've been struggling with that over the past couple of weeks. I sort of hit that point when I was working on the Castle Grayskull video where I sort of was edging close to burnout. So last week I sort of took a back seat or whatever. So I started to feel that again today and this week. And I don't think it's the scale or the scope of the projects I'm working on, but I think there's a degree to which how pooled my time is and how organized and segmented my time is has me feeling more restricted, which has me feeling less creative. And I think really fundamentally, that's actually the pain point. And we sort of addressed this in the coaching session. It was really helpful, which is basically like, I am at my heart, I'm an entrepreneur. And we've talked about, the values thing, and my two core values, it's really hot in here, are authenticity and vision. And I think there's a degree to which being so confined in these schedules that I, create myself, to try and achieve as much as I can and do all this stuff, it actually inhibits my ability to be authentic or be, spontaneous, which is a big part of me, and to sort of have a vision and to sort of create room to be innovative or be entrepreneurial because I'm so regimented and structured. So we're going to be sort of discussing, Kate and myself, ways to segment portions of my time for more freedom, for like a bit more of that entrepreneurial stuff. And I think that will really help that sort of pain point that keeps creeping back in. And I think that just sort of comes with the added responsibilities of managing a workplace with a lot of people depending on me, with the build up of all the different things I'm producing, both the videos, the Patreon, and then for the main channel, even these, even though I use them as an outlet, everything builds up. The amount of meetings I have, the amount of, extra stuff I try and do with collaborators or with product development. And then there's the fun stuff I really want to squeeze in there, like game dev and all that. It all builds up where it's weird. Like I was talking to I have a new PT and I'm really enjoying it. It's great. So there's lots of stuff, and I'm fitting it all in, and it's all really good stuff. But there's just a lot of stuff. And the conversation I was having with my PT was about freedom, how like running your own business, everyone sort of thinks, oh, you must be so free to sort of like, there's this assumption that if you run your own business and you're free, well, what do people think they would do with freedom? I'd go to the beach. I'd wake up late. But no, the price of the freedom that you earn is captivity. That sounds like that's a depressing way of saying it, but really the work that goes into creating the freedom to choose to take a day off without notice, to choose to do something else, is actually the restriction over time, knowing that I have less freedom with my time than I would if I was employed by someone, realistically. Even though I have all the freedom in the world to choose what projects people here work on, what I work on, because I know what's making all that possible, and because all of that being possible rests upon me doing certain things, it ends up becoming there's two sides to the knife cuts two ways. I don't know, the phrases. Anyways, I don't know what I'm getting to, but I guess if there's moral to the story, first of all, I think my project for exec coaching, this is like a nice little therapy session. My project with my previous exec coaching session was being less hard on myself. And that is something I'm always like listening to, betterment books, and trying to get better all the time, trying to do more, trying to be better with what I can do, trying to be okay with what I'm producing. But at the same time, it's like, if you're constantly working towards what you want to be, you're just never satisfied with who you are or where you're at. So that's for the last month, that's been something I've been trying to focus on. And that's been really helpful, sort of putting more priority on actually saying, you know what, like, you don't need to strive to be better or different. You're doing well, and learning to accept me for where I'm at. But then this last session today, and then sort of moving forward, that focus will then be extending to, like, I guess taking some of that freedom. Because at the end of the day, that is a huge part of my motivation. In doing everything I do is sort of the adventure of creativity. And I sign up for so much that I end up sort of chaining myself to so many projects because I'm excited, because I love it. The problem is I love it in these bursts, but then in the long tail of it, sometimes, as an optimist, you don't know what you sign up for until all those responsibilities become really real. So I'm not complaining. I guess I'm just sharing my journey, and that it's important to reflect and take stock and be okay with what you can do, okay with doing less sometimes, and also making room for the things that always matter most to you, even if it's just a bit of room. Because I love all this. It's hard work, but I love running a company, employing people, creating opportunities, and striving. I love striving to do better and be better and do my best, but it's not always easy, and sometimes it builds up on you. So I just wanted to share that, because that's sort of that's been swimming around my head, and that's my sort of priority moving forward and into, the near-term future, is like being okay with what I can do, and also finding more opportunities to get excited, but not overcommit myself. That's what I need to be careful about, because I get very excited. Let's wrap up with a question of the day. I don't know what all this was. What is the moral of this? There doesn't need to be. I'm okay with this. There doesn't need to be some sort of clean-cut vlog theme or whatever. The power went out, and now it's back on. And sometimes when the lights shut off, you just got to have faith that they're going to come back, and you do what you can in the dark with what you got. Yeah, that's pretty good. It all ties together. I'll take two questions, actually. This one is from Goldling567, who says, I have a question that doesn't come from anywhere and is just out of curiosity. Do you and your kids play the Pokemon trading card game? My son, MJ, does know how to play it, and we have played it a bit in the past. We haven't more recently, but lately, he's really into Roblox. And they've also both... MJ and B are really into VR. I think it's because MJ's probably seen the Apple Vision Pro content or something. So he's really into VR now, and I have the Quest 2 headset. So now every night both of them are they want to wear the headset. So B jumps on virtual roller coasters and MJ jumps in Job Simulator. They're absolutely loving it. And then the second question I want to share, because it just seems pertinent to this discussion, Krista Olsen 6236 says, how goes your journey with Stoicism? I think, if I'm honest, when I got into Stoicism, it was just this obsession. It was this realization that this is my anchor, this is my worldview now. And I still feel that way, but it's sort of it comes in ebbs and flows. So my journey with Stoicism is that sometimes I'm reminded I need Stoicism, and I sort of refresh myself. But it always sits there as this underlying tool to turn to when my less rational and more impulsive or emotional side sort of takes over, as something I can remember to use, or to sort of pull back from some of my worst instincts, or more impulsive or passion-driven instincts, to sort of moderate myself. So it's still really important to me, and I want to get more into it sometimes, and sometimes I forget about it a little bit, but I think that sort of answers it. Anyways, I'm going to go home, relax a little bit and unwind. I'm really excited to get to that sculpture tomorrow and jump into it. And I'm really excited for all the stuff that I have planned ahead of me. I just wanted to share that. Sometimes it's not all simple. In fact, most of the time it's not all simple, let's be honest. I'm blabbing now. Have a good night.